Season 2, episode 15 of the Hall of Fame show. 2 plus 15 is 17, and 17 is somebody's number. I don't know who. Who's a famous 17 in sports, Evan?
That's a good question. I don't have anyone off the top of my head. We should have probably planned that out a little bit better.
Then that would have involved some kind of planning, and that's not really my bag. But we can say that
hold on.
It's 5 Babe Ruths.
Number 17.
It's 5 Babe Ruths and a Derek Jeter.
The first person they mention when you type in number 17 is Mark Grace. So I'm not sure it's been the best number. Oh, John Havlicek. There's a good one.
That's a very good one. Love it.
Better than Mark Grace. No offense to the man who led the baseball hits in the 1990s. So.
Nice. So we've got our usual segments. We've got elevator up, elevator down, and my elevator up, it's a weird one. It's a weird one. I don't even know that I even agree with it. But the more I thought about it, it's like, well, why not? I mean, I think he's at least entered the building. And what do you know about the Paul brothers, Jake and Logan?
One of them was on The Masked Singer earlier this year and was eliminated.
Oh, okay, I didn't even know that. I barely know who these guys are, why they're famous, but I know they are super famous. They are worth millions, and they're both built as shit, and they both learned how to box, and they're not that bad. Jake Paul beat Ben Askren, a former Bellator champion, and nobody really saw that coming. I didn't watch the fight. I forgot all about it. I did watch the other one only because it was Jake's second fight, only because it was on the undercard of that Mike Tyson.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's the one I was telling you about where his knockout of Nate Robinson, it was, holy shit. I've never seen anything like that. But
yeah, right. Well, yeah, Nate Robinson was unofficially thrown out of the NBA retired players fraternity after that one.
Oh, he kind of was. I think there was a whole lot of people that were just sort of looking at that and just going like, you let us down. And then other people said, you let black people down. And Jamel Hill was then chastised Jake Paul.
Yeah, right.
That's
saying that Jake Paul was racist for winning a boxing match.
Well, she didn't quite say that, but she
essentially she did.
Yeah.
That was the gist of the argument.
Things became massively uncomfortable when she sort of like went there, and she's great at that, and sometimes she's right. This was not one of them, but moving on. The buy rate on that, if all this is true, and I've read anywhere from like 800 to 1.4 million.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know which is right. Even if it's the lower end, holy shit, that is massive. And that makes him one of the biggest boxing attractions in the world. I tried to look up the all-time record for fights, and where this would fit into the top 50.
Okay.
That of just like pay-per-view purchases. That's the top 50, including boxing, pro wrestling, and mixed martial arts.
Wow.
So, like this guy or don't like this guy, and I kind of don't like this guy from what little I know of him. Bottom line is people are paying attention. And yes, this is a sad statement on boxing, how this guy might be now in the top 5 most marketable boxers, but he is.
Interesting.
If this sort of translate into other people watching boxing, great. I don't know that it will. I don't know that it does. And I don't know what it says if he keeps winning. But am I looking at somebody for an International Boxing Hall of Fame?
Oh my God! I don't even know what the prerequisite is for that.
I don't either. I should. I should.
I mean, I feel like he's going to be a shoo-in for the celebrity wing of the WWE Hall of Fame.
No, that's his brother who did that.
Oh, okay.
Logan has blocks too.
They get the two of them together for a tag team against New Day or something.
You know what? Why not? Because for whatever reason, these two people, they're paying attention. It's sort of like Nickelback, right? I know they sell thousands upon thousands of records, but I don't know anyone who likes them. I don't know anyone who likes these people, who watches them, but clearly they do.
I don't know. They're big on the internet.
Mm-hmm.
So I know. So
that's my very obscure elevator up.
All right. It's not where I expect you to go this week, but we'll get to that in a second. By the way, one thing I meant to mention in the opening, I know this has nothing to do with it. This is the 5th anniversary of the death of Prince today.
Oh, shit. I did not know that was today.
Yeah. I can't believe it's been that long.
My God.
That's absolutely crazy. So, anyway, go ahead. That's a complete change from elevator up, elevator down, but.
I never did find out what it sounds like when doves cry. Yeah. So
I feel like I think it sounds like coming in through the outdoor.
There you go. So my elevator down is someone we were going to be talking about anyway. Oh shit! I forgot to cue up my wonderful sound effects.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say you took a couple minutes before this just to get your sound effects going.
Oh yeah, because again, this is the high quality thing that we have. So yes,
still the best produced Hall of Fame show, my friend.
That is true. That is true. And if we had, if someone else comes up with one, well, it's still the best one from two middle-aged people in different countries.
I don't know if I'm middle-aged.
Oh, well, sorry.
I am.
Right. So elevator down is...
Sorry, I'm a guy in his 40s who works in the insurance industry. That is the definition of middle-aged.
Oh, I thought that was the definition of white.
Maybe true.
That may be true.
Sure, go ahead.
All right, so elevator down. It's not, and I hate putting him in this. I really do. But this is a real interesting bubble guy for me. He just retired abruptly because of heart issues, and it's LaMarcus Aldridge, who could have been an NBA champion this year. He would have been coming off the bench, and he was still his best days are far behind him, but he's still a productive player. He still would have he was still averaging about 20 to 25 minutes a game. Decent stats. I don't know how far the Nets are going to go. I think they're going to implode personally, and this might be something that'll come back and bite me. I just don't see that this cast of very strange characters winning it all together.
Yeah, if Durant is not 100%, I think they have a little bit of an issue. So I'd say my Celtics team was rounding into shape, but then they lost to the Bulls the other day. But I honestly think the Sixers, with Embiid as the shape as he's ever been, is still the odds-on favorite to come out of the East. So
it'll be very interesting to see who comes out of the East and West. It's a very open series, and then now everyone's also sleeping on Giannis and the Bucks, which is interesting too. But Aldridge, we have a 7-time All-Star, and as you know, I'm not huge on All-Stars, but I am on All-NBA, of which he has 5. Was it 3 second and 2 third? Aldridge also gives me nightmares because it reminds me of the 2006 draft.
Okay. Is Andrea Bargnani?
Yes. Now, to be fair, there was no consensus number 1.
And Euro fever was sweeping the nation.
That's
basketball.
That's very true. Everyone was looking for the next Dirk, and now there's quite a few of them, but they didn't come out of the 2006 draft.
No.
I brought this up, and I know we should be talking about Aldridge, but indulge me if you can here. Bargnani, Bargnani, number 1 pick. He actually played 10 years, and he's got a career VORP, which is like their value over replacement player of 1.5. 1.5 out of all those games that he played.
Mm-hmm. To put it in perspective, Tyrus Thomas, who none of us thought was particularly great, was the fourth pick.
Yep.
And he had a 1.7.
All right, I'd like to shit, since we're going here, I'm going to shit on the number 3 pick, Adam Morrison. You know, I remember thinking, because there was a bit of buzz, well, maybe Morrison might go number 1. I was happy we didn't take him. I say we like I'm a member of the Raptors, Jesus Christ. But Morrison,
the Tampa Raptors, yep.
I knew he was going to be garbage. And the reason I knew that is because, like, right after Gonzaga got eliminated, he's on the floor, or he's on the court, and he's crying. There's no crying in basketball. Baseball, basketball, there's just not. What are you crying about right now?
Have you never seen the Jordan meme?
I have seen the Jordan meme, yes.
It's all over the place.
But Michael Jordan has a Hitler mustache, and he can get away with it.
Mm.
It is kind of Hitlerish.
Probably true. It is.
A little bit. But it's Michael Jordan, so we all just say, like, you know, we know he's wearing that. We know we could just make that a little bit longer to shave it all off completely, but it's MJ. We're going to give him a pass.
Right.
I mean, we give him a pass when he walks up to random people and talks about Hanes underwear. Those commercials make no sense, but we say, okay, it's MJ, it's Michael Jordan. But yeah, Aldridge had a really good career, was the best player on Portland, on good Portland teams, not great Portland teams. Never got to the finals, never played on Team USA, which I didn't realize until I looked this up.
Interesting.
I don't know, though, and I couldn't find out whether it was because he opted out, which a lot of great players do, or he didn't make it.
Mm-hmm.
And yes, he played 2 years at Texas, defensive player of the conference of the Big 12, but we're not really looking at anything that's going to add up. As you and I know, the college stuff matters in the Naismith Hall. The international stuff matters. He doesn't really have much of either. Mm-hmm. Well, he has none of international. So what are we looking at here? A potential title would have been huge, which won't happen.
I'm sorry?
I was going to say, like, that potential NBA title would have been big for him. Well, it would have been massive. Like Blake Griffin, too. Yeah. And now we've got 3 guys from this 2006 draft who are bubble guys. Him, Kyle Lowry, who was taken 24th, and Rajon Rondo, who's taken 21st, who we've talked about before many times. Mm-hmm. We've never done really a deep look at Aldridge. Based on the bar that exists, he's there. But if he never gets selected, is anyone really going to, like, push for LaMarcus Aldridge in, like, a well-crafted article in a national publication?
Yeah. All right, so here's a question for you. I'm going to throw out some names. Mm-hmm. Okay? You tell me whether or not you think they are Hall of Famers. You ready?
Sure.
Marcus Camby.
I like Camby a lot, but
does his college stuff count?
It should. Well, okay. I think Camby isn't, but he's a lot closer than people give him credit for.
Okay. How about Rashard Lewis?
No.
Detlef Schrempf?
No.
Horace Grant?
No.
Hersey Hawkins?
No.
Lamar Odom?
His name shouldn't make me laugh, but it does. No.
Because these are the people who are right around him in career VORP. He's 91 in career VORP. Now, Sidney Moncrief is 86, who's ahead of him who got in. And below him, looking for the next, Mitch Richmond was 114 who got in. That's a whole separate thing. James Worthy's actually down there. Alonzo Mourning, Bob McAdoo, Bernard King, Joe Dumars. He's ahead of all those guys on VORP. But, I mean, he's right in that sort of area. Like you said, he's second in that class in VORP, with Kyle Lowry being number 1. He's 2, Millsap's 3, Rajon Rondo, who we think would be massively helped by another championship, is 10 points behind him. And I almost feel like Rondo has a better shot than Aldridge does.
He does, because when you think of Rondo, like when we last talked about that, and I ripped on that trade, which I'm going to stand behind, the trade from from the Hawks. You brought up, and everyone brings this up, and they should, playoff Rondo. Let's go back to something you said last week, where you said you can't tell. What was it? You can't tell the story of. You can tell the story of football without Calvin Johnson.
Well, yeah. Again, not my words, just the words of a friend of mine who's a Bears fan.
Okay.
Who was upset that Johnson got in, but yeah, that's what he said.
Yeah, and that's the best argument I've ever heard against it. And for Edelman, still not going to convince me. But if we use that sentence, you can tell the story of basketball without LaMarcus Aldridge, telling it without Rajon Rondo, and I will say it over and over and over. Rondo's the biggest reason that the Celtics won that title. Wasn't the big three. It was Rondo. I truly believe that. So that's, I think, why we feel that way more about Rondo. When you think of the biggest moment of LaMarcus Aldridge, what is it? I don't even know. There's nothing that comes up to me in the top of my head.
I mean, he played in Portland and San Antonio. Who didn't, he played in San Antonio after it mattered that he played with San Antonio, right? So I don't know. I don't know is the answer to that question.
Yeah, and I think that's sort of like what works against him. I mean, at least when we talk about Vince Carter, who mentored, like, just the way he became a totally different person, it found his way back into a Hall of Fame equation, even as his stats decreased. But when you type up Vince Carter, the first thing that comes up is dunk, and then you remember the slam dunk contest and him draping his balls over that French guy.
Right, yeah.
But those necessarily did not make him a superstar, but it made him famous. He's remembered for that. LaMarcus doesn't have this. LaMarcus, even though he's got the stats near of a Hall of Famer, he's got the All-NBAs of a Hall of Famer, he doesn't feel like one. And it'll be really interesting to see where if he gets in at all. He's not going to be first ballot. I think we know that.
No, probably not. It also may depend on who he's up against.
That's also true.
Like, I mean, if he was retiring in the NFL right now, that'd be impossible. The NFL class of 2026 is going to be insane. There's going to be like 8 first ballot Hall of Famers, and only 5 of them can get in, and everyone's going to be mad that the other 3 didn't make it. So,
well, maybe we can go right to that now, because we have Alex Smith, who just retired. Alex Smith is not getting into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. Alex Smith was a former number 1 pick who, my God, he had a rough start, and then he just sort of became your placeholder for Kaepernick, your placeholder for Mahomes. And I guess in Washington, wasn't any. But what's that other guy? The guy they just drafted who didn't do well as a quarterback.
From Ohio State. It's just on the tip of my brain. I can't think of it. I'll get that. Go ahead. Keep going though.
So here we have a guy who's still a 3-time Pro Bowler. Now, and again, I'm not making a case for Alex Smith in the Pro Football Hall of Fame. He's not going to get in. But I just want to tip my cap to somebody who came back a year after being told we're considering removing your leg. He came back, he won our hearts back. I mean, it didn't matter that as a number 1 overall pick, maybe it didn't work out like it probably should have based on his position and his draft spot. I don't really care about that right now. I just think what a phenomenal story. What guts, and he got to go out on his terms.
Yep. Dwayne Haskins, by the way.
Thank you. And I'm really happy for him that he gets to sort of like write that story.
Mm-hmm.
And he is also the third best now quarterback eligible in 2026.
Yeah, I mean, Breeze and Rivers are up, so that's some tough competition.
He could be a preliminary. I could see that.
He'll be a preliminary at that. Mm-hmm. He won't make the semifinals, though. I don't think at any point.
Oh God, no.
And his teammate also retired officially. Jordan Reed.
Yes.
Not that he's going to be a Hall of Famer either, but he does have more Pro Bowls than Julian Edelman.
I'm tied. I'm tied with Edelman.
I'm sorry?
I'm tied with Edelman.
That's true. Yeah. Jordan Reed also retired. One-time Pro Bowler, all-rookie team in 2013. Injured a lot.
Concussions took him out. And sort of a...
So...
But congrats. I wish them... I don't want to say congrats, but congrats to Alex Smith, definitely for sure. And I wish you both...
And LaMarcus Aldridge. LaMarcus Aldridge, especially he's going on his own, on the way he's going out. But, dude still had a really, really good career.
Absolutely.
And was, at worst, the third best player taken that draft.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah, for sure. Imagine that you're the meat of a Bargnani Morrison sandwich.
Yeah, they could have done much worse.
My God, that just sounds awful on so many levels.
Yeah, I will have to say, Millsap in the second round seemed like a pretty good pick, though. So that worked out much better, I think, than Bargnani in the first. First overall. So,
and there's a lot of duds. Like, look at the top five, though. It's one quick look here. So, LaMarcus Aldridge, as we said, went number 2. So the other four: Bargnani, Morrison, Thomas, who you mentioned, and Sheldon Williams.
Mm-hmm.
2 of these people have negative VORPs. You know how shitty you have to be to have a negative VORP?
Yeah. And then Brandon Roy was 6, who had 16.3 VORP in only 6 seasons. That dude was awesome until he got hurt.
Mm-hmm. Oh, my God. Adam Morrison. And Adam Morrison is was he 2-time? He's an NBA champion. like that's funny. Like Adam Morrison 1, Charles Barkley nothing.
Darko Milicic has 2 too, right?
Well, the first one was Detroit. Who did he get his second one with?
The Lakers.
Darko was a Laker?
He was a Laker for one of them. Yeah, he was on the end of the bench.
Oh, I didn't even know that, or I blocked it out of my mind, which might be the best thing ever. All right, so I guess
championships. I'm double checking here.
Okay.
Oh no, he won one in 2004. I thought he won one with the Lakers as well, but maybe I'm wrong. So he was with the Lakers. Oh no, I guess he didn't. Never mind. All right, I was wrong. Just one time.
All right, then I didn't drink myself completely to oblivion, and I like.
I may have the water. This water I'm having is just going straight to my head, so
it'll do that. I always say to my wife, she says I don't drink enough water. I said, sure I do. It just happens to be 5%.
Vodka. It's Russian for little water.
Yeah. So, I don't know how we sort of segue out of this. Again, I'm not the master of the segue.
I'll segue out quickly to something I just want to mention in passing.
Yeah.
Speaking of football, which we were a moment ago, The Patriots Hall of Fame, which usually announces their nominees either this week or next week every year, has decided not to have any nominees this year so as to give Richard Seymour his day alone as a Hall of Famer coming up because he got elected last year in the Patriots Hall of Fame, and then COVID happened, so they didn't get to do it. So they've decided not to have any nominees this year. I would willing to bet that if Seymour had been elected to the Hall of Fame this last year, they would not be doing this. But the fact he wasn't, and there are 5 spots, there's honestly 5 spots, depending on how you feel about DeMarcus Ware as a first ballot. There are 4 or 5 spots open in this potential Hall of Fame class. So just having him alone on that probably improves his chances of getting in, or at least gives him the opportunity to. So that's just one of our favorite Hall of Fames. They're doing something which we did not anticipate. Just I mentioned it in passing before we move to the next thing.
You're probably right. Actually, I want to do like one vent that really doesn't have anything to do with what we talk about, but it's more of a preemptive strike, which won't change anything. Okay. All right. The Oscars are up this Sunday. I'm not going to watch it. I think I vented last year how I got forced to watch it by my wife because she wanted to watch all that shit. And then every time I tried to turn the channel when she fell asleep, then she woke up. Now, I'm pretty sure I won't have to this year because 2 reasons. One, she has no idea. She's never seen any of these films. Neither have I.
I was just saying, I don't think they made movies last year, did they?
Well, no, they made them 2 years ago. They just released them, or they just sort of escaped onto TV. There's no such thing as every movie's now made for TV, isn't it?
Pretty much.
Now, second thing, I don't even know, is there even going to be a red carpet? Are they doing any of that?
You're asking the very wrong man.
Okay. So I don't know whether they're doing it virtual, or in California they very well might be. Or they're going to do some kind of weird social distancing. It's just not going to feel like it. So you've got these 2 giant factors in place. So guaranteed, this is going to be the lowest rated Oscars since last year, which was the lowest rated Oscars. How can it not be? Saying that, there's going to be people who will write saying it's because it's because of all the virtue signaling. Now, granted, I think there's going to be a few people who are tired of it. Sometimes I'm just tired of it. But that's not the biggest reason. Those 2 things are pretty much gone. What people are dressed like, and if you take that away, that whole pageantry, it's not the same thing. If you also then add in the fact that none of these movies are, and I'll use that word again, stars. These are not star movies. These are not movies that you're going to remember 20 years from now. You're not. Never see. Of course, I just said I never saw any of them, but there's no buzz around any of it. None of them.
Yeah, I can't even tell you who's nominated. I have no idea.
And that's it. So to anyone who's going to write, see, it's because people are sick of Hollywood, please rate the other 2 things. Because those are much bigger reasons. That's it. I just wanted to say that. Because I already know what people are going to write. They've already probably written it just so that they can get their points in. See? Well,
right, of course.
Fuck, look at the whole picture, jack-offs. Actually, I think I've got the Iron Sheik has something to say about that.
Good night, and go fuck yourself. Good night.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I just had that new one ready.
Excellent.
That might be a regular segment where Iron Sheik decides to come in and just tell someone off.
Excellent. So what should we go to next?
How about Dead People? I see Dead People.
Dead People works. All right, we didn't have any particularly huge names this week, but we had quite a few people from different areas of everything here. So I guess I'll start in the world of hockey. We lost Johnny Pearson, who was a Boston Bruin from 1946 to 58, played in 3 Stanley Cup Finals in 53, 57, and 58. They ran into some pesky guy named Rocket Richard and his team in each of them. But Pearson was 95 years old when he passed, and he's the last surviving member of McGill's 1946 Queen's Cup winning hockey team.
Oh, wow.
46. So that was a while ago. But he passed away at the age of 95 earlier this week over in Wayland, Massachusetts, where I used to play my home games for soccer. We also had, from the world of football, we lost Missouri, Michigan, and Kansas City Chiefs Hall of Famer Fred Arbanis. I believe it's Arbanis. I've never actually heard it. Mm-hmm. But he was number 22 pick in the 1961 draft and the number 53 pick in the 1961 AFL draft, and ended up going to the Dallas Texans / Kansas City Chiefs. He's a 5-time AFL All-Star, 6-time AFL All-Time Team, 3-time AFL champion, and a member of the Kansas City Chiefs team that won their first Super Bowl back in Super Bowl IV. But honestly, one of the great AFL players, someone who certainly deserves some consideration if they ever decide that the AFL should be more represented than it is. Mm-hmm. Actually, also was a legislator in Jackson County, Missouri after he retired. But he passed away at the age of 82 earlier this week.
Yeah, Kansas City Chiefs Hall of Famer, I believe, for their franchise.
Yep, absolutely. We also lost college football Hall of Famer Leroy Keys, who is a running back and a safety with the Eagles and Chiefs. He had a short NFL career, only from 69 to 73. He was the 3rd pick of the 1969 draft. But he only had a 4-year career, but he was a 2-time All-American unanimously in 67 and 68 for Purdue. College football Hall of Famer for a long time now. But he passed away this week at the age of 74. When was he elected the Pro Football? I'm trying to figure out where it is. He's also on the Mount Rushmore of Purdue football with Drew Brees, Bob Greasy, and Rod Woodson. Not too bad.
No, not bad company at all.
So from the world of acting, just a couple people I just want to bring up. Felix Silla passed away. I think it's Silla. It could be Sia. Most famously known as the original Cousin It from the Addams Family. Passed away at the age of 84. Do you remember the original Addams Family?
And reruns, yeah.
Yeah. There's also an Ewok in Return of the Jedi.
Okay.
So he passed away. Also, Helen McCrory passed away. She married to Damian Lewis, but best known as Narcissa Malfoy from the Harry Potter movies.
Yeah,
passed away of cancer at the age of 52.
I've never seen a Harry Potter movie.
I don't think you necessarily need to. The Harry Potter is something that should have been a TV show like Game of Thrones.
Oh, okay.
There's just the books have so much in them, and there's so much that gets left out in the movie that's distracting if you've read the books. Now, I've only read the books because my niece read them first. My daughter wanted to read them. And so I read them all to her. And the writing's okay. The story's okay. But the movies are not nearly as good as the books. So.
And everyone hates J.K. Rowling now, but I don't quite know why.
Because she is believing that transgenderism essentially is a mental disease. Did
she say that?
Yes, multiple times. She's one of the big advocates for that. So that's where that comes from. So
okay, well, that I guess I can understand why she's incurred a little bit of wrath.
Yeah, that's essentially what it is. So,
Okay.
Anyway.
Moving on.
I guess the biggest name we lost this week was actually Walter Mondale, former U.S. presidential candidate, former vice president, passed away at the age of 93. Born on my birthday, so one of the most famous January 5th people. Still got Diane Keaton and I can't think of his name from. Oh my God, I can't think of his name. Never mind. The actor whose name I can't think of, and of course Marilyn Manson, who's exactly 10 years older than me, which is nice because I know what I'll look like in 10 years that way. Walter Mondale passed away at the age of 93, but then everyone else we lost is just about the world of music. And by the way, the Beige Mistress, we lost a Hungarian rabbi, a Hungarian actress, and a Hungarian politician, but no athletes this week.
Everything happens in threes.
Quiet week for that. But from the world of music, we had quite a few people. So I'm going to start with, I'm sorry, I left one out. Nicholas Springer also passed away. Gold medalist in Paralympic wheelchair rugby. Four-time national champion. So gold medalist, passed away at only the age of 35. So won gold in Beijing and in bronze in London in wheelchair rugby. So I'm not sure what he passed off, but he was only 35. Going back to the world of music. First one, Paul Osher, who was a awards-winning blues artist, had the acoustic album of the year back in 2006, and the best performance by a blues musician in 2000. Once married to Pulitzer Prize-winning playwright Susan Laurie Parks. He passed away at the age of 71 after being hospitalized with COVID for several weeks. We also lost. We'll work our way up to him. We lost. My computer froze. There we go. Rusty Young, the frontman for the country rock band Poco. Passed away at the age of 75 earlier this week. He was a virtuoso in pedal guitar, and one of the best known for writing Roses Cimarron and Crazy Love. Inducted in 2013 to the Steel Guitar Hall of Fame, which I did not know was a thing. But he died of a heart attack earlier this week. Hold on a second. Mike Mitchell also passed away of the Kingsmen. So he was a vocalist and guitarist from 1959 to 2021 up till his death. The only remaining member of the Kingsmen's original lineup performing at the band from 1959 to 2001, which is absolutely crazy to be involved pretty much with anything. Kingsmen, of course, best known for Louie Louie.
The funny thing is, I did. I'm going to do a little bit of cross-brand promotion here. Well, the other show that I do with Andrea Tessman, How the Hell Did This Go to number one? Louie Louie did not get to number one because of The Singing Nun. So think of that.
Times were different back then.
Well, yeah, but this song that was believed to possibly be dirty, although they couldn't really figure out whether it was or wasn't.
They got investigated by the FBI for potentially having communist lyrics in there.
Can you imagine, the amount of money wasted on that? So they just got what? I just imagine these 10 old guys just playing the record as slow as they can. All right, now play it again. I think he might have said red. It's just so funny that the juxtaposition between that song and then this happy nun singing about a saint who later killed herself because she couldn't really deal with her lesbianism. But anyway, moving on.
Right. They also sang, of course, Money, That's What I Want, which was a follow-up to Louie Louie, which came in at number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100. So, Yes, but Mike Mitchell, the last original member, and I believe the singer of Louie Louie, passed away at the age of 77 on his birthday, on his 77th birthday.
Mm.
We also lost Barry Mason, who was a leading songwriter in the 1960s. Among other things he wrote, Love Grows Where My Rosemary Goes, and Nobody Knows But Me. A whole bunch of those, a whole bunch of songs from the 1960s. He passed away earlier this week at the age of 85. We also lost Black Rob this week. American rapper from Bad Boy Records, best known for his 2000 single Whoa, which peaked at number 43 in the Billboard Top 100. Died of kidney failure at the age of 52. Also, very much like DMX, who also passed away in the early 50s not too long ago, was sentenced to 7 years in prison for not appearing for sentencing on a charge of grand larceny. So he spent quite a bit of time in jail, unfortunately. Released in May of 2010 and interviewed by BET 2 hours later. But yeah, he passed away at the age of 52. And finally, the biggest name I'd say who passed away this week, Jim Steinman, passed away. He, an incredible songwriter, wrote a lot of songs which were exceedingly popular that have become good, bad songs at this point, right? So he wrote Total Eclipse of the Heart. He wrote Making Love Out of Nothing at All by Air Supply. He wrote I Would Do Anything for Love, But I Won't Do That by Meatloaf. It's All Coming Back to Me Now by Celine Dion's version. Barry Manilow's Read 'Em and Weep. Boyzone's No Matter What. So a lot of those type of songs Jim Steinman wrote. If you look at his associate acts, they're pretty much like, it's Meatloaf, Bonnie Tyler, Sisters of Mercy, Celine Dion, Air Supply, Barry Manilow, Barbra Streisand, Cher, Todd Rundgren, Billy Squier, like that type of music. He was kind of the king of it. He passed away at the age of 73 earlier this week.
I think you just described the lineup for Overblown-a-Palooza.
Yeah, pretty much. He died of kidney failure. So his rock writer Paul Stenning called him the greatest ever composer of symphonic rock, which is entirely possible. The Total Eclipse of the Heart is one of the most fun, terrible songs ever to sing. So,
yeah, and I think virtually everything Meatloaf ever did so almost falls into that one. I can sort of like belt out Paradise by the Dashboard Light, which is in some, I don't know if it's bad or good, but the second album, What I Would Do Anything for Love, I hate that song. I think that song's just absolutely awful. Won't do that. What is it? The entire time you're not even telling us what it is you won't do.
No, he does tell you.
What? He just says that. Did I miss it completely?
He says that. No, she says, sooner or later he'll be running around. He says, I won't do that. That's what he's saying. He's basically saying he'd never cheat on her. That's what he says in the song.
I thought he was sort of like longing for all these things I would do for love, but I won't do that. Like it's something like what? She wants to put on a strap on? I don't know. But I won't do that.
No, hold on. Let me get the lyrics to that song. Lyrics.
No, I'm going from a 20-year-old memory here because it's not something that I come back and listening to. And also, I didn't think we were going to be talking about this particular song. I should have, because I knew that Jim Steinman passed, and I knew this was going to come up. But again, I did not prepare.
Well, that's our MO. Hold on, let's see what it says. I guess for the girls part of this. I know the territory I've been around. It all turned to dust and we'll all fall down. And sooner or later, you'll be screwing around. And he says, I won't do that. No, I won't do that. Anything for love. Or I do anything for love. I do anything for love, but I won't do that.
Yeah, but that was later in the song. So he said before.
That's the end of the song.
But he said before that he wouldn't do that. If he opens it up, I would do anything, but I won't do that. Well, what? Like, okay. That almost sounds like it's being negative. Like, okay, I would almost think that the least I can ask you to do if you're in a relationship with me is, hey, maybe don't cheat. That's kind of the bare minimum, isn't it?
In the opening lines, though, he says that he'd do anything for love. He'd run to hell and back, but he'd never lie to you, and that's a fact. So he says two things he'd never do, cheat or lie. And so that's in the first part before he even says he'd do anything for love, but he won't do that. To make us see that he's just never going to lie to her. I don't know. This is way too much debate about lyrics of a song that just the best thing about I would do anything for love but I won't do that is the fact that it just gets bigger. Like all of Gin Simon's songs start simple and then you're like, how many more instruments can we add?
Well, okay, so I guess you like it. I don't. We had a third person who likes it.
I didn't say I like it. I just said it's symphonic rock. Like all those, like Total Eclipse of the Heart. It's the same way. Start simple and then just keeps building and building and building.
I was trying to set up for a bad joke, but you wrecked it. I was going to say, you like it. Yeah, you like it.
Go back.
Yeah, you like it. I don't. We'll find someone else who likes it, and then we'll say 2 out of 3 ain't bad. Boom!
Oh, there we go. I ruined it like a bat out of hell.
God damn it.
So anyway. All right. So the only thing we got left, I think, is my good, bad, and ugly, right? Is there anything else that we need to talk about or I missed this week?
Sorry. I just wanted to throw that in. Yes, the good, the bad, and the ugly. No, I have nothing else to throw in at all.
All right.
I did my preemptive Oscar vent. That's all that I really wanted to get in. I don't know who your good and bad is. I know who your ugly was. I pretty much knew that almost right away as it was happening.
Well, there are too many choices for ugly, all on the same topic. And I honestly could have done good, bad, and ugly all on the same topic, but I decided to break it up here. So good is I'm going to go back to something that I've been advocating for weeks, if not months, that actually got announced as happening today. Mm-hmm. So Jeopardy has announced the final group of guest hosts to close out this season.
Okay.
So they are Robin Roberts, George Stephanopoulos, David Faber, who I'm not quite sure who that is, Joe Buck, and more importantly, with an exclamation point after it, LeVar Burton. The people have spoken. There is a online. I don't sign up for online petitions very often. Mm-hmm. As soon as I found out about it, I signed up right away. LeVar Burton should be the permanent host of Jeopardy. It appears he's getting the last shot for the season. And I'm very excited about the power of the people was the word this week. What happened a lot this week. So LeVar Burton is going to have a chance to be the host of Jeopardy. I'm very excited. Many people are very excited. He's a dude who taught many people of my generation to love books and reading Rainbow. He was Data, the kind but smart guy on Star Trek The Next Generation. And now I can't think of a better person who's got the chops where you can think of, hey, I actually believe he knows all this stuff, and who's the right person for the next generation as LeVar Burton. So I'm very excited that this is happening, and that's my good for the week, that Jeopardy actually listened, and also apparently didn't let Dr. Oz anywhere near the show. He's rumored to be. Yeah,
I read that. I would think it also makes more sense, too. No disrespect to Robin Roberts, but she's a very busy woman.
Yes.
I don't quite know what LeVar is up to right now, but I'm sure he can dedicate a lot more time to that than Robin can.
Well, hey, Aaron Rodgers just thinks he needs to work 2 months a year, so that'll work out too. So,
Jesus.
So I'm just excited that happened. So that was my good.
Never would have guessed that, but okay.
No. Well, I just wanted to go happy because the bad and ugly are their own sort of thing here. So I'm going to go with the bad. And for the bad, I'm going north of the border to the Toronto Star.
Okay. Well, what do they do?
Toronto Star has a writer named Rosie DiMano. for the sports section. I brought it up with you. I was wondering who your good was going to be because I thought that your elevator up was going to be.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that your elevator up and my bad were going to overlap, which is weird.
Okay.
Right? Rosie DiMano wrote an article this week saying that Patrick Marleau, who broke the record for most games played in NHL history, I thought was one of his major things for the Hall of Fame, to be honest, should have retired before breaking Gordie Howe's record because Gordie Howe was a better player.
That's so stupid.
I just want you to think of Gordie Howe's reaction to that article.
Gordie Howe would have
What would Gordie Howe's reaction have been to that article?
He would have given an elbow.
He would have challenged her to get on the ice and gotten in a fight. Like people talk all the time about how coddled the younger generation is. If he quit, first of all, he'd be quitting on his team. But if he quit before he got to Gordie Howe's record, Gordie Howe just was like, these weak young guys, they can't stand up to anything, whatever. It was just the dumbest article I've read in a long time from someone who, she's been a journalist and covering hockey for like 40 years up in Toronto. She should know better than that. Like, it was entirely clickbait. I had no idea who Rosie DiMano was before this. But it was just stupid. Just incredibly stupid. One of the worst articles I think I have ever seen. So that's my bad for the week. Like, just one of the worst sports takes from someone who's not a hot take artist. Just stop. That's my bad.
Jesus. Any
thoughts on Mr. Mono?
I never read that article. Kind of glad I didn't. And I will not be seeking that out after.
Good.
But
yeah, as everyone said, I can't wait to see what she writes when Ovechkin breaks Gretzky's goals record. So, and finally, the ugly. Something which lasted 0.28 Scaramucci's.
Nice.
The Superleague.
Wow.
So, for those of you who aren't paying attention to soccer as much as I do, because I talk about soccer way more than I originally intended on this show, the Superleague was an idea that's been floating around for probably, honestly, in some form or another, 50 years, but has really picked up steam the last 4 or 5. And now, out of the middle of nowhere, as we're coming down to the final weeks of the domestic leagues for most of the teams in Europe, not Scandinavia because they're on a weird schedule like the U.S. is. But pretty much everybody else is wrapping up their seasons now. 12 teams, 6 from England, 3 from Spain, 3 from Italy, decided that they were going to break away and form their own Super League, which would essentially be a league from which they could never leave. They could never be demoted. They would just make a whole bunch of money and never have to worry about actually competing for a spot in like the Champions League. So the funny thing about this is it was very much almost like a nuclear war or a war throughout Europe, but it was a war in which the good guys were the Germans and France didn't surrender. So I'm not exactly sure how that worked. But ultimately, it was a war won by the fans. The whole 12 billionaires decided that they needed to be richer and completely forgot one thing. There is no one in the world more provincial than the English. They're the most provincial and tribalistic people in Europe. They've got like 75 accents for an area essentially the size of like Ohio, right? they are so into their teams for hundreds of years. These teams have existed through generations after generation, and they're going to take them away from the other teams in the league to make money. And all of the fans basically revolted. And within 48 hours, Chelsea pulled out, then Man City, then Atletico Madrid, and it just completely and utterly fell apart. I don't think Real Madrid has still pulled out technically, but their chairman is probably the biggest a-hole of all. He said today that something had to change in soccer, and that the Superleague's a good idea. It just wasn't explained correctly, which is silly because it was explained perfectly correctly, and everybody thought it was an awful idea. It completely fell on its face. Mm-hmm. All these teams which thought they had all this leverage blew all of it.
I got a question for you, because there was one thing I didn't understand, but at least I think I understood it. They weren't pulling out of their domestic leagues. They were pulling out of the Champions League, right? Because they were still going to play.
Right, yeah, so none of them are unhappy with their domestic league.
Okay.
They're unhappy with the Champions League. So Champions League, with the league that they're talking about now, or the Super League, they would get more money guaranteed than they would if they won Champions League. Mm-hmm. So essentially what they're saying is that a lot of these teams are millions and almost like Real Madrid's almost $1 billion in debt because, let's be honest, they don't actually budget anything. By the way, I'm watching the Sharks Black Knights game, and Max Pacioretty just got his 600th career point. So I don't know what that's for him, the Hall of Fame, but it just happened to us up on the screen. Anyway, so they wanted guaranteed money, but essentially what they did was, first of all, it was just ultimately sort of random teams. Like they're calling themselves the top six of England, but like the top six of England changes from time to time. Mm-hmm. And there's no, like Tottenham. So one of the things people were talking about was the fact that if they did these games, they could play these games anywhere, right? Because they weren't subject to any league. So, I mean, you could have, these games being played in Moscow or Dubai or wherever it was midweek. And we all know it wouldn't just be midweek. But I thought once I saw Tottenham get in there that they would have to play in Nice because they would always be finishing last. That was a deep joke there. Sorry, because Nice guys finished last. Never mind. Anyway, if you have to explain the joke, it wasn't that good. But yeah, essentially that's what it came down to. A whole bunch of people were super greedy, didn't want the competition, and then there were just random teams. Like, how do you have this league without Dortmund or PSG or Bayern Munich or Ajax, who was apparently even invited? Like, what incentive does any team have to play for? It just was never, ever going to work. And it was an awful idea. Although, honestly, it's one I think that college football may look at in the U.S. I hate to say that, but I think that's entirely possible. And it completely fell apart spectacularly. And I want to say the three main bad guys in this whole thing, I'm going to blame the Glazer family, John Henry, and Stan Kroenke, who are the owners of Kroenke owns Arsenal, John Henry and the Fenway Sports Group own Liverpool, and the Glazer family owns Manchester United. They are all part of a franchise system leagues back in the U.S., where they don't have to worry about promotion and relegation, and money is somewhat guaranteed and things along those lines. This is trying to come up with a franchise system for the 15 teams who happen to be there at the moment. Mm-hmm. Right? And this whole plan comes from those dudes. And I know that Henry gave a apology, 2.5-minute apology today that was videotaped of him sitting in a chair and reading it, in which he took full responsibility. By the words, it was actually taking responsibility. In the delivery, it was super milquetoast. It very much gave off the "we would have gotten away with it if it weren't for you meddling kids" version of things. But to be fair to John Henry, who I am very on record as saying is an asshole, and I want him to sell the Red Sox, he at least apologized. None of these other 6 teams have come close to doing that. None of the guys. And all these guys are leaving the players and coaches who had no part in this, had no say in this, to answer questions about a thing they had no control over and didn't know about. And that's the problem with English football right now, is a lot of these owners of the money don't care about English football. There's stories that one of these 6 owners, and I can almost guarantee you it's Kroenke, went to a game and asked what color his team was.
Oh, that's awful. Wow.
The Glazer family has taken billions out of Manchester United, and their stadium is falling apart. They put no investment back into the area around it. At least Henry learned that from having Fenway and rebuilding the area around Fenway. He did do that with Liverpool, but they're just carpetbaggers. They're trying to strip it for parts, and they got caught with their hands in the cookie jar, and they completely blew their leverage going forward. Now, at some point, they're going to have to face the music. There's going to have to be they can't have rules for the league, because they couldn't leave the league or join another competition without consent of the board of the Premier League. And if they sign something saying that, then they're in violation of that, and are probably going to be subject to some sort of penalty. And they should be subject to some sort of penalty. But it's going to be interesting to see what it is. Are they all going to get demoted a level, which is going to completely screw with their finances? It's entirely possible. Are they going to be banned from the Champions League next year? They were thinking they may be banned from the Champions League this year, in which case Paris Saint-Germain would win the whole thing, because they're the only non-Superleague team still left. It's just that it's a weird situation in which they somehow managed to unite Manchester United, Manchester City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham, and who did I leave out? I left somebody out. Man U, Man City, Arsenal, Liverpool, Tottenham, and what did I leave out?
Was it Chelsea?
Chelsea, thank you. And managed to unite those fans. You can't agree on anything together, and somehow made both FIFA and UEFA, who are way more corrupt than even the NCAA, into good guys in this situation.
That's the funniest thing really ever. It's like you're making UEFA the good guy. It's sort of like I went to the comedy club. You know who really killed it? Who? Hitler.
I don't know if I want to compare him to Hitler. But at least, like I don't know, Michael Platini, who was the head of Italian soccer, got arrested on bribery charges like the second command of UEFA. Like, these guys are corrupt as hell. Mm-hmm. The FIFA World Cup is in Qatar this year, not because of, let's just say it wasn't because of their facility.
Oh, God. What a shithole. What a shitstorm that's going to be.
Yeah, they can only play games at night because it's going to be 110 degrees during the day.
But, Qatar really worked so hard to build up their team. God damn it.
Yeah. Hey, they've made the World Cup before, and they've made the final groups in Asia last 2 times. Haven't gotten out of the final groups, but they've made it. So, it's just...
Qatar's never made the World Cup, have they?
They did once, I'm pretty sure. Hold on.
I think you might be confusing them with Oman. Actually, I'm not even sure Oman did. Now I'm kind of...
I know that UAE did.
Okay. Yeah, I think I'm wrong there. I don't think Qatar ever made the World Cup.
I think somewhere like 1982, or maybe I haven't messed up with somebody else.
Am I going to go 2-0 here on this? On sort of like on this challenge here?
You could. I thought they had made it. Hold on.
Oh,
FIFA World Cup. Hold on.
While you're doing that, I just want to point out another random thing here. My wife, who's from Indonesia, that's got to be the saddest World Cup attempt country ever. 250 million people. Well, sorry, way over 250 million. I think they're number 4 in global population, and they can't get out of a group stage in Asia qualifying. And they love, love, love their soccer.
Yeah. Hold on. UAE made it. Look at the map. No, you're right. Qatar has not. UAE's made it. Kuwait has made it. I was thinking Kuwait, not Qatar.
I don't know if I necessarily agree with or just want to sort of throw this out. I don't think you should be able to bid for a World Cup unless you've actually qualified for one.
Right. Well, I mean, South Africa made qualified for a World Cup after they'd gotten it, but there was only their hosted World Cup was their second in a row. So they would have been the first country ever to host World Cup without having qualified for. I guess Qatar is now that country. So yeah, I'm sorry, you're right. They have not qualified for World Cup.
No.
I had Kuwait in my head and not Qatar. So anyway, yeah. So these guys are a-holes. They try to make a whole bunch of money by destroying a system of promotion relegation. That was the thing that most people hated more than anything. There are going to be 20 teams. 15 of them were never going to be able to leave, and the other 5 would be rotating through. Why these teams? If you did this 20 years ago, you'd have Newcastle, you'd have Aston Villa, you'd have Blackburn. Some of these teams haven't made the Champions League in years. Leicester City has won the championship and is in a position for Champions League now higher than Arsenal. They have a better record over the last decade than Arsenal does, and they weren't even in the Premier League a decade ago.
And I'm glad you brought that up because Leicester City is, I think, one of the greatest success stories of the system. Or is that your Premier League? I can't believe I've never even asked you that.
I didn't. I was a Premier League. Agnostic. I just like watching the games. I didn't get a team. But that run and just the way they've played since then. I mean, I root for the Bruins, right? And rooting for the Bruins means I root for Brad Marchand. Rooting for Leicester City means I root for Brad Marchand of the Premier League, Jamie Vardy. So he's the same guy. So it's just, I love that team, and they're in the FA Cup finals coming up here too. They beat Southampton earlier this week. Actually, they beat Southampton, and all this stuff came out during that game for the finals on the 18th. So that is my team. So.
Okay, so I guess that sort of wraps up another one, although I'm going to tell you up front, I just recorded the first show with Glenn. That's a new show coming out at NotInHallOfFame.com. Another bit of cross-promotion here, because that's what I should do. The Classic Sports Review, where we looked at the 1986 Game 6 Bill Buchner game. Had a lot of fun doing that.
Man. I swear this new podcast is just to troll me.
Well, I'm also bringing this up because at some point, when we get sort of through all the Hall of Fame news after the Rock Hall, we know which Super Bowl we're looking at, or we might be sort of looking at a few other things. Maybe you might be recruited for a different one. You're definitely going to be for the Super Bowl with the Patriots Bears, but I just wanted to do I just wanted to do a bit of promotion for that. So the first one has been recorded. I'm pretty happy with it. I wasn't too drunk at the beginning.
Bill Buchner is someone who has a legitimate Hall of Fame candidacy, if not for that play.
He is not. He's Veda Pinson.
He's got almost 3,000 hits.
And a WAR under 20.
3,000 hits. He's at least in the conversation, but not with that play. There's no chance. So
no, it was actually a lot of fun rewatching that game. Vin Scully is a national god. He must call everything. I just want to say that. Watching a 1986 ball game in a 2021 lens was very weird and a lot of fun. And I can't wait for you and I to do that, since we already have our built-in chemistry.
Sounds good, yeah. Are you also, with the Bills fan, going to get me there for Deflategate? Or
No, just I gave 5 things, and you sound 5 ideas. He was happy with all of them, and I just went with the one that I could find real easy. And I found the full game, so I just went with that one. The one we're going to do after is Ben Johnson versus Carl Lewis in the Olympics.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Good. I was just laughing because he's a Bills fan, and so since he started with the Buchner game, I was just wondering how Troy is going to be. We're going to do the 87 NBA Finals.
Oh no! When I troll him, what it's going to be? I didn't tell him this yet, but I'm going to troll him because we're going to do the Brett Hull game with the crease, because he's a bigger Sabres fan than he is a Bills fan.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I just learned that myself.
Scott Norwood.
That one would be a good one too. I don't know. It's the whole thing's really a work in progress. I don't know how often that's going to be. I know there's going to be regular co-hosts for that. I think he's going to be one of the main ones. But I sort of envision this just being a lot of fun and just having people take real deep dives at things that wasn't maybe we misremembered it. I misremembered that game a lot. I'll admit.
Right.
I did not remember a parachutist coming in the first inning. Forgot all about that. I did not remember Dwight Gooden's Jerry curl. I did not remember quite a few things. Although I have to say, every one of those players, I remembered every single one of their names, all of them. Can't say that today, but that's all. That's more of a reflection on just how many options and how many things we can actually watch, which is why I'm not watching the Oscars.
Although I will say, baseball's ratings are up this year significantly over last year.
Oh, are they? Okay, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I saw that the other day.
I'm really interested, and I know we're sort of going off somewhere else here, but since we're talking about television ratings, the WNBA ratings when they went up 15%. That to me, I'm still stunned how that happened when they competed at the same time as so many other sports. What will happen this year? I am very fascinated. Now, will I be watching it? Probably. I don't know. I should. I talk enough about it, but I don't watch it. I just can't add another sport to everything. But in the summer, it's a little bit easier. But that one, I'm going to be very fascinated, because will the WNBA continue to sort of climb up? Granted, their best is, I think their WNBA finals I read was 450,000 or 500,000 views, which isn't really good. But if you're trending up, it's good.
Right.
I don't know. We'll see.
We'll see.
All right, and with that, I guess the Hall of Fame show, the hall is closed. Come back next week. Oh, I think that's our new close. The hall is now closed.
The elevator doors are shut.
Yes, no one is allowed into the building. But you can come back next week. We'll have our regular segments and all sorts of things, because we always come up with something.
We do.
All right.
And sound effects.
And sound effects. Very poor sound effects. I'll have to fire the operator. Oh, wait, that's me. But sound effects, nevertheless. Come back next week. Stay for the pizza.
Sounds good.
All right. Stay safe, everybody. everybody, 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 everybody.